Hey you, and welcome to lesson 6 in our course. Today we have an important lesson. Today we are going to talk about telling the time, how to ask and how to tell the time in many ways. We will also talk about the present simple with adverbs, always, sometimes, and so on. We will also take a quick quiz at the end, which you must not skip. So, are you ready? Let's get to it. So, let's start with the time. Okay, now, asking the time in English. How do we ask the time? We can use some questions for asking the time, like these. Whoops. All right. So, here we have, what time is it? What time is it? Or, what is the time? What is the time? Or, do you have the time? All these are correct, and all these are popular. You can ask any of them. You can use any of them. Do you know what time? Do you know what time is it? Do you know what time is it? Can you tell me what time is it, please? Could you tell me the time, please? Do you happen to have the time? Have you got the right time? Okay, let's cross this one. Nobody says this, okay? The last two are very formal. Could you tell me the time, please? And do you happen to have the time? This is formal, extra polite. This one is good because you add please. You should always remember to say please and thank you, okay? Because people are a bit touchy. Don't forget your pleases and thank yous. Do you know what time it is? Or do you know what time is it? Please. Can you tell me what time is it? Please. And then when people tell you the time, don't forget to say thank you. Although nobody asks about the time anymore because, you got it on your phone, on your computer, everywhere there are. But we need to learn how to say the time anyways. We have two main ways of saying the time. We have the British way and we have the American way. The British way is a bit more complicated. The American way is really easy. Most people are using the American way, but we will cover both ways of telling the time. So, with the British way, we say quarter, half, to, and past. Okay? Quarter, half, to, and past. For example, we say it's 6:45, or we say it's 4:30. To, it means before. Past, it means after. Okay? So if you say 6:45, that means it's 15 minutes before 7. If you say it's 7:15, that means it's 15 minutes after 7. Okay? And then you have the American way. The American way is really easy. In the American way, we just say it's 7:15 or 10:55 or 4:30. Okay? So we just read the numbers, which is the easiest way. So let's take a look at this, o'clock. What does o'clock mean? O'clock, it means it is exact time, like the exact hour, just like here. Or actually, let's use this one, just like here. You see, it means that time is exactly, the minute, the minute handle is exactly on the 12th. That's o'clock or o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. It means it's 11 exactly. It is 3 o'clock. It means it's exactly 3. Or it's 5 o'clock. It means it's exactly 5. Not a minute or before or a minute after. 5 o'clock. A clock has the clock has two hands. Okay? So this is the long hand. This one is for the minutes. And the short hand is for the hours. In English, time is expressed with a 12-hour time zone. Okay, a 12-hour time zone. What does that mean? It means in the morning we use the AM, and then in the afternoons and evening we use the PM. Okay, 12 hours and 12 hours. We use half past. This is in British. Half past, it means 30 minutes after. Half past. So if you say it's 2:30, that's British. In America, we say it's 2:30. It's 2:30. If we say it's 6:30, which is 30 minutes after 6, in the American way, they say 6:30. 6:30. If you say it's 1:30, which means 30 minutes after 1, American way, 1:30. So let's take a look at this. What is the time? It's 10:30, or American way, 10:30. All right. Let's take a look at this expression, 1:45 and 1:15. 1:45, it means 15 minutes before. 1:15, it means 15 minutes after. So we have, it's 9:15, it means 9:15. If we say it's 4:45, that means 4:45. 4:45, 15 minutes before 5, or 4:45. It's 8:15, 8:15. What is this? It's 4:15, or 4:15. Past and to. Past, as we said, it means from minute 1 to minute 30. From minute 1 to minute 30, we said past or after. Okay, so it's 2:05, it means it's 5 minutes after 2. If we say it's 2 to 2, that means it's 5 minutes before 2. Or it is from minute 31 to minute 59. So we use past for minute 1 to minute 30, and we use to for minute 31 to minute 59. Let's take a look at this clock. Okay, we have 12 o'clock, 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, 20 past, 25 past, half past, 25 to, 22, quarter to, 10 to, or 5 to. So all the past is after 12, and all the to are before 12 o'clock. Okay, now let's take a look here. For minutes less or more than a quarter, note these. Okay, so if we're not talking about quarters, we're talking about 5 minutes or 8 minutes or 6 minutes before or after, this is how we read it. It's 5 to 10. 5 to 10. That means it's 5 minutes before 10 o'clock. Or we can use the American way and say it's 9:55. It's 9:55. If it's 20 past 8, it means 20 minutes after 8 o'clock, or we can use the American way, 8:20. It's 25 to 7. That means it's 25 minutes before 6 o'clock. Or we can use the American way, 6:35. 6:35. So let's see. What is the time here? The time here is, if we use the British way, we will say it's 5 to 8. We will say it's 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. That means 5 minutes before 8. Or if you use the American way, you will say it's 7:55. Okay? 7:55. American way is the easiest, right? Okay, so examples about the American way now. We're talking about the American way. So this is 7:55. We already said that. But how do we read this clock if it has a 0? If it has a 0, we always say O, okay? It's 11:07. 11:07. Okay. O is pronounced, 0 is pronounced like O, not 0, okay? So when we're doing clocks, we don't say O, we don't say 0, we just say O. Also, this applies to phone numbers. Normally, when we read phone numbers, it's rarely that we say 0. Nobody says 0, we say O. Like, what's your number? 208, 305, and so on. So O is applied to clocks and to phone numbers. AM and PM. Since the 24-hour time zone is not used in English, time is expressed with a 12-hour time zone. Okay, so in English, we don't say it's like 1503 or 1931. This is military time, okay? Military time, army people, they use the 24-hour time zone. Also, pilots and flight people in airports, when you book your tickets, you'll see like this, your flight is at 14:30 or something. So that is for airlines, flights, and army. But normal people, we just use the 12-hour time. So we use the 12-hour time, which is, that's why we made the AM and PM, so we can differentiate when it's morning and when it's evening. So if it's before noon and afternoon, so the hours are divided to before noon and afternoon. The hours before noon until noon are used AM, okay? So it's from 12:01 until 11:59, it is AM. Okay, what does that mean? 12:01, that means, you know, midnight, it's 12 o'clock. Okay, from midnight, that starts the AM. 12 midnight. Sorry, that's 12 midnight. From 12 midnight, that is the AM starts, midnight. Okay, and then all the way until 1 minute before noon. So this is 11:59. This is before noon. So we use AM from 12 midnight until 11:59 before noon. Now, once we get to 12 noon, then we use from 12:01 to hour 24, which is from 12 noon, it becomes PM. Whoops, it becomes PM until 11:59 before midnight. Okay, so 12 noon will become PM until 11:59, 1 minute before midnight. It would stay PM. As soon as we hit 12 midnight, that means it is AM again. Okay, easy. So let's see. Time, we have morning from 12:01 to 11:59. This is 1 minute after midnight until 1 minute before midnight. This is considered morning. Noon or midday, this is exactly at 12 sharp. 12 noon. Afternoon, it's from 12:01, 1 minute past noon until 6 o'clock. This is considered afternoon. Afternoon. Evening is from 6:01 until 10 o'clock. Night is from 10 o'clock until 12 midnight. So it's only a 2-hour gap. From 10 o'clock at night until midnight, that is considered night. Midnight is at 12 midnight. And then from 12:01 until 12, this is between midnight and morning. All right. Now, let's see. A little more practice. It's 12 o'clock. It's 12 a.m. If you say it's 12 a.m., what does that mean? It means midnight. It's 12 midnight. If you say it's 12 p.m., that means noon. So midnight is a.m. p.m., that's noon. It's 1:15. That's American way. 1:15. British way is 1:15. It's 1:15 or 1:15. American way, 2:30. British way, it's 2:30. American way, 3:45. British way is quarter to four. Quarter to four. That means it's 15 minutes before 4 o'clock. It's 4 a.m. It's 5 o'clock. Okay, this is 4 o'clock a.m. That means after midnight in the morning, early morning, still dark normally. 5 p.m. we say it's 5 o'clock. Why? Because the hand is exactly on the minutes. It's 6:12. This is the American way. British way, we will say it's 12 after 6 or 12 past 6. It's 7:50 or it's 10 to 8. It's 10 to 8. That means 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. All right. We use the structure at with time. This is the preposition. Okay? So if we're talking about time, we always use at. That's the preposition that goes with time. The train arrives at midday. The plane, let's change the color. The plane will take off at 6:15 or 6:15. The show started at 3 o'clock. The boss called me at 8 o'clock or 8 a.m. means in the morning. He works from 9 to 6. He works from 9 to 6. This is just work hours. That's why we don't use at, because we're not talking about 1 hour. If we say he starts work at 9, then we will use at. Here we will say he starts at 9. Okay, because we have a specific hour. It's a starting hour at 9. Or he finishes work at 6. But here we're talking about a time period from 9 to 6, so we don't use at, because at is only used for a specific time. Okay? Now, let's do a quick exercise. Let's look at the pictures and tell the time. So the first one, British way, it's 5 to 8. American way, it's 7:55. That's right. Next one, let's see. This one right here. Okay? So, yes, that's right. If it's American way, we just say 7:35. Or if it's the British way, we say it's 25 to 8. 25 to 8. That means 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. 7:15 or 7:15. It's 7 o'clock. Both. American and British way, same thing. American way, here we'll say it's 7:05. It's 7:05. British way, we'll say it's 7:05 or 5 after 7. That means 5 minutes after 7 o'clock. All right. Now let's talk about the adverbs of frequency. We touched a little bit on the adverbs of frequency in the previous lesson, but now we're talking about adverbs of frequency in more details. So what are adverbs of frequency? They tell us like how frequent we do something. Okay? The adverbs of frequency are hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, these are called definite adverbs of frequency. Definite adverbs of frequency. Hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. Also, yearly is called annually. Same thing. Because year in English, you can say annum, or year, it means 1 year or 12 months. Or then we can say annually or yearly. Same thing. Every minute, once an hour, quarterly. Every minute, it means something happens every minute. Or once an hour, that means it happened one time in 1 hour. Or we can say quarterly, it means it happens every 15. It happens every 15 minutes, or it happens every 25 years, or it happens 4 times a year. Quarterly, it means you divide it by 4. It means a quarter. A quarter, it means an hour has 4 quarters. Each quarter is 15 minutes. A year has 4 quarters. Each quarter is 3 months. So if we're talking about year, quarterly will be every 3 months. If we're talking about an hour, quarterly will be every 15 minutes. If we're talking about a century, what is a century? Is 100 years. If we're talking about a century, then a quarter of a century will be 25 years. So quarterly, it means you divide it by 4. Once, it means 1 time. Twice, it means 2 times. Thrice, or 3 times, it means 3 times. Or 1,000,000 times. So this is how we use definite adverbs of time. Where can I put the adverb in a present simple sentence? Definite adverbs of frequency usually go at the end of the sentence. Okay, if we are confused on where to put them, we normally put them at the end of the sentence. Let's take an example. Most businesses submit their taxes quarterly. Most businesses submit or turn in or give the government their taxes quarterly. Quarterly, it means every 3 months. He checks his watch every minute. He checks his watch every minute. So notice, we normally put the definite time expression at the end. The bell rings every hour. It means once every hour. We can also put the adverbs at the beginning of the sentence, like every night, we stay up late to study. When do we put the adverb in the beginning of the sentence? Normally, we put the adverbs at the beginning of the sentence if we want to emphasize on something, okay? If we want to draw people's attention to it, we put it at the beginning of the sentence. This is for emphasis. Okay, so here we say, every night I stay up and study. Or twice a year she goes to Chile. Twice a year. Every year, thousands of people are misdiagnosed. Every year, thousands of people are misdiagnosed. So we use it at the beginning of the sentence for emphasis. Indefinite adverbs of time. The indefinite adverbs of time are as follows: never, rarely, seldom, infrequently, occasionally, sometimes, often, frequently, generally, repeatedly, usually, normally, mostly, regularly, always, constantly, continuously, or habitually. Okay? Let's not confuse yourselves. Let's just take one from each category. That's plenty. So from the 100% category, we will take always. This is the 100% category. What does that mean? If you say, I always visit my parents. I always visit my parents. That means 100% of the time. Okay, not sometimes, not every now and then. That means always. That means always. 100% of the time. 90%, usually. Usually. I usually go to the gym in the evening. I usually go to the gym in the evening. That means 90% of the time I go to the gym in the evening, but sometimes I don't. Like every now and then I will miss gym in the evening, or I might go in the morning or in the afternoon. 70% of the time we will take this adverb frequently. That means 70%, 75% of the time. Frequently. 60% is often. Often. 50% sometimes. 40% occasionally, 20% rarely. Rarely means every now and then, not always. Like, only 20%. Could be even as low as 10%. So this is like 10 to 20%. I rarely go hiking. Okay, I rarely go hiking. It means I only go hiking like 10% or 10 to 20% of the time. I don't normally do it. 0%, it means never. Never, zero, not at all. It never happens. I never smoke cigarettes. That means 0%. Doesn't happen. All right, let's take a look at examples using the adverbs of indefinite frequency in sentences. So, we always walk to school. 100%, we always walk to school. She usually drinks coffee in the morning. She usually drinks coffee in the morning. That means 90%. They generally study at the library. Generally is another one with frequently. Okay? Same meaning. That means 75%. I'm often on time. I'm often in time. It means most. I'm often on time. It means I'm most likely to be on time than being late. Okay? So 60%. It means more than 50. I'm often on time. She sometimes play chess. She sometimes play chess. 50%. He occasionally skips school. He occasionally skips school. It means every now and then he'd skip school. What does that mean, skip school? It means don't go to school. They are seldom wrong. That means seldom is another word for rarely. They are seldom wrong, or they're rarely wrong. It means they are mostly right, but every now and then they might get it wrong. Okay? What I want you to focus on here is with we, walk. There is no S. She drinks, S, because it's present simple. They study, no S. I often on time. There is no verb here. But I will take no S. Okay, the only things that take S are the he, she, it, and the single noun. Those are the only 4 things that take S. Everything else doesn't take S. You just put the verb as it is. She plays, S. He skips, S. They, there is no verb here. Wrong is an adjective. So, but if there was a verb, we will not use S. We will say they live in Hong Kong, for example. They live in Hong Kong, so there will be no S. All right, now, if there is an auxiliary verb and a main verb, the adverb goes between them. For example, I can usually remember. This can is called auxiliary. Okay? Auxiliary, the auxiliaries, or the helping verbs, they consist of 4 types. Okay, we have the be, the do, the have, and the modals. Can is an auxiliary because it's part of the modal family. Let's take a look here. Here we have the auxiliary verbs. We have the be verbs, and then we have the do verbs, and then we have the have verbs, and we have the modals. Those 4 families make the auxiliaries, or the helping verbs. So we need to have the be, which is, we've studied the be. We said am, is, are, was, were. Do, does, did. Have, has, had. Those are the 3 families, and then modals are the last family of the auxiliary verbs, which is can, could, shall, should, may, might, will, would, must. Those are called your modals, or the modals. Okay, so these are the modals. Read them, familiarize yourself with them. We always use modals in the English language. Okay, they normally they have different uses. We will talk about modals in other lessons. But for now, what we need to know is if there is an auxiliary verb and the main verb, the adverb goes in between them. Okay, so I can usually remember, he doesn't often cry. Have to is not an auxiliary, okay? Have to is a different rule. Usually comes between a modal, can, and a verb. Remember, this is a verb and this is a modal. He doesn't often. Doesn't came between a verb to be and cry. Again, this is a main verb. With have to, the adverbs goes before the auxiliary. Okay, so only with have to, because have to is not considered a modal. Have is an auxiliary, but it's followed with to, which gives it a different rule. It's sometimes considered a modal, but it applies different rule applies to have to. So with have to, the adverb goes before the auxiliary. Like we usually have to wake up early. We usually have to wake up early. So here we have the adverb, the time adverb, usually goes before have to. He always has to drive his kids to school. He always has to drive his kids to school. So again, the indefinite time adverb always will be before has to. So this is the rule for has to. Sometimes it can go in the beginning, or it can go in the middle, or it can go at the end of the sentence. Like sometimes they eat healthy. They sometimes eat healthy. They eat healthy sometimes. It's all correct. Always cannot be at the beginning or the end. Okay? Always cannot be at the beginning or at the end. Always is normally in the middle. Always is in the middle. She always works hard. We don't say always she works hard. We don't say she works hard always. So the rule with always, it never comes in the beginning or the end. It's always in the middle. For questions and negative statements, the adverbs goes before the main verb. So if we have a question or we have a negative statement, if we have a question or we have a negative statement, they always go before the main verb. Let's take some examples. Why do they always complain? So the main verb is complain and the adverb is always. Who is constantly talking on the phone? Who is she constantly talking to on the phone? Who is she constantly talking to on the phone? Constantly is, it means all the time. Okay? Again, it's before the main verb, which is talking. All right, let's take a look at the next one. They aren't usually nice. So nice is the main verb. They aren't usually nice. I don't often eat fast food. Eat is the main verb. I am not normally this irritable. I am not normally this irritable. Irritable, it means I don't get angry easily, okay? It means I'm a patient person. It takes a lot to make me angry or make me lose my cool. All right, let's take a look about negative adverbs like never or seldom or rarely. Okay, those are negative adverbs. It means something never happened or hardly ever happens. So with negative adverbs, do not go at the end of the sentences. Adverbs like these, they don't go in the end of the sentences. They can be in the beginning of the sentence and for strong emphasis, or they can be in the middle of the sentence. Okay, let's take a look at some examples. Never have I seen such a beautiful woman. For emphasis, that means this woman is so beautiful. I have never seen a woman as beautiful as her. So for emphasis, we will use it at the beginning of the sentence. Never have I seen a woman as beautiful as her. Seldom does he work so late. Seldom does he work so late. It means he always finishes work early. It's very rare or hardly ever happens that he works late. Rarely do I get straight A's. Here we're talking about results in exams or school. Rarely do I get straight A's. It means I'm not a great student. I'm okay. Maybe I get B's or C's. Still acceptable. Okay? Negative adverbs such as seldom, rarely can be used in the negative or question forms. Negative adverbs is like seldom, rarely, and never are not used in negative forms or question forms. They're always used in the affirmative form or the okay, let's see some examples. You say, it's correct to say, I seldom get to school on time. It means I hardly ever get to school on time. It means I'm always late. Okay? But we cannot say I don't seldom get to school on time. This is wrong. This is okay, okay, so negatives, adverbs such as seldom, rarely aren't used in the negative or question forms. Okay, so this one, I don't seldom get to school on time. This is wrong. I seldom get to school on time. This is correct. So this one, is correct. And this one is wrong. I don't usually get to school on time. This one is correct. Okay, why? Because usually is not a negative adverb. Usually is a positive adverb because it happens most often. Do you rarely eat sushi? This is incorrect. Do you ever eat sushi? Okay, this is question form. We don't use rarely, which is a negative adverb, in question forms, but we use positive adverbs like often, always, frequently, regularly. Do you regularly eat sushi? Do you always eat sushi? But we don't use the negative form of the adverbs. Okay? So this is it for today. There is a quiz at the end. Don't skip it. And I'll see you next class.